Recently on the Wayspotters podcast, you heard my dad say...
Have you ever gotten in an argument with your cat and lost?
Yes.
That just happened to me
Constantly.
just now. Just literally got in an argument with my cat, and I realized he won that argument, so I gave him what he wanted. So. Hello, agents, trainers, keepers, pilots, eighth-wallers, and our beloved explorers and wayfinders. Welcome to episode number 113 of the Wayspotters podcast. Can't believe we've done 112 episodes and this is 113. But here at Wayspotters, we want to do everything we can to help you become a better wayfinder. As we've always said, we want to educate, entertain, and excite. Wayspotters is brought to you by the good people at the Pokemon Professor Network. And today is Friday, March the 15th, which means St. Patrick's Day is just right around the corner. And I think we're going to have a pretty fiery show today. I know I'm fired up. How about you, Chris?
I am fired up. I can't wait.
Yeah, there is so much stuff going on right now in the greater Niantic community. But we are just going to focus on Wayfarer today. We could do a whole show on what's going on in Pokemon, but we'll leave that to the experts who have a Pokemon Go podcast, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, like I said, we've got a lot of things to go over, and we're going to cover that in more detail. But before we do that, let's go to the news.
And now, the latest Niantic news from the Wayspotters podcast, presented by the Pokemon Professor Network.
All right. So it seems Emily was given some of her privileges back because for a brief period, it looked like she was auto-resolving like really small edits. I did a couple of tests, and it looked like anything that was less than 2 characters was getting auto-resolved. So I had a bunch of edits from the stuff that was around me. I got a bunch of them put through. It doesn't look like she's doing it anymore. I don't know if Niantic was running a test or what was going on there, or if she kind of went rogue again and looking for John Connor in the edits. But it was cool. Like, it was really, really cool. And we've been asking Niantic to give us the ability to just kind of make small punctuation changes and then not have to review them, because adding a period into like a short form of a word or adding a comma or capitalizing a couple of letters in the titles shouldn't be something that we have to review. Emily should be able to take care of that. So I don't know if they were running a test or what's going on, but it's not happening anymore because I did a bunch yesterday. I remembered you can go and do remote edits through Ingress. So I went through all my keys yesterday and I searched for some titles that were missing or titles that had some punctuation that were off, and I did a bunch, and they're all still pending. So
that makes me feel so good that you're going in and using English for that. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. My goodness, that makes me feel good. Next, I got to get you to start submitting through Ingress.
I've actually done a few through Ingress.
Okay.
So
I like it because it feels a little more natural to me, and I've got a wider radius, so I don't have to necessarily be right there to do it. So I don't know. I have to do it there.
Yep. My thought is, if it's going to show up in Pogo, I'll do it through Pogo.
Right.
And Pogo feels more natural to me because that's where I started.
Right. Plus, you like to flex. You like to flex on them in Pogo.
Yes. But if it's only going to show up in Ingress, I'll do it through Ingress so I can flex.
Right. Gotcha. So they're like, ooh, Glauhadjashar. Who's this guy? Mr. Glau.
I am that narcissistic, yes.
See, and people, if they were just listening to the show, they would think it would be me. Right? They would think it would be me. And I only nominate through Ingress. So it's kind of one of those, if you know, you know, old schoolers, OGs, like they're, going to Ingress, they're like, oh, Jamal did this. Yeah. So Pokemon Go. Yeah. All well and good. Let's go ahead and get into the topics for the day. So we've got one topic that may take the whole time. And if it does, we'll punt the other topic, but we'll probably get to both topics because they're both kind of part and parcel of the same thing. So let's go ahead and go into topic number 1.
Topic number 1.
All right. So topic number 1, Chris, what the heck is the deal with trail markers? What's going on? Did something change? Like, NianticAaron literally and figuratively kicked over the hornet's nest this week with his post on the forum in response to Specaj Pogo. And I want to read the original post and then get into what happened after that. So, am I pronouncing that name wrong? That name right? Spekkje. How would you pronounce that?
Speckage? I
Yeah.
don't know. Apologies.
I'm gonna just
to
apologies.
whoever
I'm
that
gonna
is.
just call him Spec.
Yeah, that
I'm gonna
works.
just call him Spec. All right. So this person posted something on the forums on March 2nd, and it said, "Hi, I'm getting more confused about trail markers when they are, in parentheses, not eligible. Based on what I was understanding for when something is eligible, I nominated trail marker last year in August of 2023. It got rejected by the community, but after appeal, it was approved. I nominated another trail marker, and the same thing happened. Rejected by the community, but approved by Niantic on appeal. So I thought I did good. And I mean, Niantic said it was good. I haven't nominated more than these two nominations before this were in 2020. Today I received an email that I was submitting things that aren't eligible. And as an example, my second trail marker. The first trail marker is still in the game. I'm a bit confused about the emails stating submissions while only one is removed, in parentheses, don't know about the other ones from 2020, but only one of two were accepted back then. It also feels confusing that something that is accepted after appeal, so checked by Niantic, is now resulting in me getting a warning. And from my understanding, trail markers are a great place to explore and therefore eligible. The marker is a sticker with the coloring and logo from the trail, so it is something recognizable from being from that trail. I also replied to the email I received, but since I don't know if I'll get a response, I decided to post here because I'm really confused and really need some clarification. Okay, now, Chris, let me just jump in and say I looked at the photos that this person posted of the trail markers. I'm not that crazy about them. I'll be honest with you. They look like stickers on a post, right? But honestly, I think the conversation took a heel turn when NianticAaron jumped in the chat, and I think the actual trail markers are not even the object of the conversation. It's kind of what NianticAaron said. But I'll go on record right now, just before we get into the meat of the conversation, that I'm not crazy about those. I don't know if I think those are what we think of when we say trail markers. They're more of posts with stickers on them, and they don't appear to be in the forest. They look like they were light poles or utility poles or something like that. Again, I could be wrong. I know it's in Europe. I don't know if it's specifically in the Netherlands, but I know we've done 3 or 4 shows about some of the things over there in the Netherlands. So I want to go on record and say I'm not super crazy about these specific trail markers, but I believe in trail markers overall. So let me let you jump in there.
So here, pull up the one that I have up on the screen, because I think for our YouTube viewers, it'll be. So this is what you were talking about, right? This is the sticker. I'm not a big fan of that either. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either. But what's funny is that sticker, right, is on a post with a sign on it.
Right? Yes.
I honestly think they would have much more luck
With the
nominating
sign.
that whole sign as a trail marker rather than the sticker.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
But, yeah, I think some of them, I looked through it too, and some of them I think are kind of iffy. Maybe, but I think that because this one, it looks like the sticker, but that one looks like it's screwed onto the post. So that one's right to me, and that one got accepted, right?
Yep, that got accepted.
But the other one does look temporary.
It does.
Unfortunate, but like Niantic's stance on trail markers is literally everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get into right now. So if you guys have been following this saga, you know that we received guidance from Niantic Gifford back in, God, when was that? April of 2022. We received and so let me start there before I get into what NianticAaron said. Let me just read something here from Niantic Gifford. Do you have that to pull that up on the screen?
I think that I do.
I don't know if I sent you the link. I put it in the notes, but I don't know if I sent you the link.
Let me pull it up real quick right
Okay.
here. There you go.
All right. So I just want to share with, like I said, for our audio listeners, the link will be in the show notes. So if you can jump over to YouTube real quick and take a look at it. But I want to read this. So this came, Testone reposted this. This is from Niantic Gifford, and this was back in April of 2022. So it said, a trail marker with the name of the trail with the name on the trail, excellent. A marker with the name on a street, good. A marker with no trail name on the trail, good. A marker with no trail name on an open green space area, good enough. A marker with no trail name on the street, not good. And so that was kind of the guidance, which I thought was good. I thought it was good guidance that we got back in April of 2020. So since then, that is what all of the Wayfinders explorers have been operating under for trail markers, right? And I think that we've seen plenty of examples through all the Niantic challenges all over the world that people were using this both as a nomination guide and a guide for reviewing. Would you agree with that?
100%.
All right. So now there was guidance from Tintino, and Tintino put out his guidance in the June AMAs. And I don't think I gave you a link for that, or maybe I did. Yes, I did. Or Tintino was in September of 2022. All right. Tintino said, hiking trails and markers make great way spots. This includes urban footpaths and routes intended for pedestrian use. However, this doesn't mean they should all be accepted. We're happy to add some clarification to these as they are clearly a great place to be social and they spark exploration. Below you will find some details, and we hope that as you review similar types of nominations. And so it kind of goes into the different highlights of that. So I want to jump back up to NianticAaron now. So I'll pull this down for a second. I want to jump back to NianticAaron. So 2 times in 2022, Chris, we were told by 2 different people at Niantic, Gifford and Tintino, that trail markers were good. Gifford gave us some very specific examples in language on how we should think about that. And that kind of goes back to the OPR days where everybody was like a gazebo's a 4, a church is a 5. I think you came on to the tail end of that of like, what things should be, to give a number. That kind of gave me those kind of vibes. So now let me get back to the heel turn, right? So can you pull up NianticAaron's reply? And I think I put this on the we have a graphic of this. I want to put this up on the screen because this is important. This is going to be the meat of our conversation today.
Let me scroll down and find his comment real quick. But yeah, like the clarification from Niantic Gifford is literally exactly how I've been reviewing trail markers ever since he posted it.
Yes.
That's my Bible. That's exactly what I go with.
I think we all have. I think we all have used that. And I think that's why during this discussion, it was so easy for someone to find because we've all been using it. So
yeah,
it was really easy for someone to go, hey, wait a minute. I know something about this. And, let me look at this. All right. So while Chris is pulling that up for the YouTube viewers, I'm going to go ahead and read from this. So NianticAaron posted this on March 12th. Trail markers that list the name and other information about the trail are good candidates, in quotes or in parentheses. The ones with just numbers or arrows are not considered good. The information in parentheses, the information provided by the submitter also plays a role. We would love to see what is interesting about this trail. Was it the first trail in the area? Does it highlight specific wildlife local to this region? All of this would help make it easier to rate higher. The second point is how many of these trail markers are there? Are they distinguishable and far enough that it doesn't make others less unique? Next thing we consider is, are they permanent? Stickers and printouts are not considered permanent and may be rejected. Hopefully, this clarifies the confusion. Well, it clarified one thing. We're no longer talking about water. We're now talking about mud. It's clear as mud now, Aaron. Clear as mud. So I know you got a lot to say about this, Chris, but I want to jump in here real quick and say what it sounded like Aaron was saying is you got to sell your trail marker. That's what it sounded like to me. That the trail marker is no longer just good enough on its own, that you got to sell it. Now, before you go, Chris, I want to pull up one more graphic. And this is a graphic from Niantic's own onboarding. If you can pull that up for the YouTube viewers, and I'll explain to the audio viewers what they're seeing.
That one?
That one. All right. So what you're looking at on the screen for the YouTube viewers is something from Niantic's own onboarding when you first become a Wayfinder. The best locations, the best locations are great for exploration, exercise, and to be social with others. And there's one photo on the left with a green check mark above it, and one photo on the right with a red X next to it. And I'll go with the red X on the right first. It's a picture of an explorer standing beside a door on a brick wall and a garbage can with 2 bags of garbage and some flies flying above it. And there's a red X, which is bad. We know that's not a good place to explore, be social, or explore or exercise. The one to the left with the green check mark above it, the background is there's a tree. It looks like a Douglas fir tree. And there's a sun up in the upper right corner. And there are 2 explorers with backpacks on, and they're walking through what appears to be some greenery. And on the bottom left-hand side, there is a trail marker on it. There is no name. There is no number. There is a smiley face. And this is an example of what is in Niantic's own material that says is good. That is clearly a trail marker that contradicts what NianticAaron just laid out. I'm going to drop the mic and give it to you, Chris. I'll pull this down.
I just, I've got lots to say when I lean back in my chair.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I just, they have 3 core tenets, right? Like it's exploration, exercise, and, and
be social.
Social, right? And thank you. I couldn't for brain fart there. This trail markers literally promote all 3.
Yes.
Like you literally could not have more of a slam dunk than a flipping trail marker, right? And right. I get it. If it's a sticker, if you can walk up to the trail marker and rip the sticker off the post, cool. Not eligible. Get it.
Right.
But to be like, is it culturally relevant? Is it the first? You're putting way too much onus on that post in the middle of the forest to be interesting. It's not supposed to be interesting. It's supposed to help you not get lost, right?
It's a navigational beacon.
It's a navigational tool. The whole point is for you to be like, oh, look, I found the trail marker. I'm still on the trail. Right. Or if you walk a couple of kilometers, you don't see any trail markers, you'd be like, oh crap, where the hell am I? I'm lost, right? Like it promotes exploration.
Yes.
And I think Sea Princess said this, and this is one of my big pet peeves with Niantic and these trail markers. It's like, if you are not necessarily very mobile, like you have some sort of condition that usually prevents you from wanting to walk, right? Like,
or you're like me, you're just old.
Back, or you're just old, right? And you're tired and you're lazy and you don't want to walk. If there's trail markers, you're more likely to explore that trail because A, you can collect stuff along your walk. B, you can collect gifts along your walk. And C, those Pokestops and those gyms, you might get coins on your walk. And D, those Pokestops are gonna spawn Pokemon.
Right. Let me jump in and say one thing on there. The trail markers also will let you know how far you're going to walk. If I see a trail marker and it says half a mile, okay, I know what to expect. If there's no trail marker and I'm walking on the trail and I got a bad knee, I don't know how far I'm going to walk.
Right.
And to Aaron's other point, his second point, how many how many of these trail markers are there? I don't think that matters.
Mm,
It's a point of interest that we want to put on the Lightship map. So are we now saying that every block? I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am in the Bible Belt, people, like the heart of the Bible Belt.
yeah.
There is literally a church every mile and maybe even every block. So are we going to apply this same logic to churches and say, second, how many of these churches are there? Are they
Yeah.
distinguishable enough and far apart? Let me tell you, a Baptist church in the South looks like a Baptist church in the South. A Methodist church in the South looks like a Methodist church in the South. A Catholic church in the South well, there's not that many of them, but anyway, getting off the point. So we can't paint with the same broad brush because a church, okay, let's go to a playground, right? Every church in the South has a church sign. Don't kill me, Chris, because you know what I like to do there. A church sign in the playground, right? I get a 3-for-1 for every church in Charlotte. I get a 3-for-1, people. Hate me if you want. I get a 3-for-1. I get the church, I get the church sign, and I get the playground. I get a 3-for-1. However, what Aaron is saying is if there's too many trail markers, you can't distinguish one from the other. To me, that's baloney, because if there's 6 trail markers on the trail, each of them is going to tell me a different kilometers, miles, feet, whatever. They're not going to all say half a mile, because that would make no sense to have 6 half-mile trail markers. One's going to be 1/4, one's going to be a half, one's going to be 3/4, one's going to be 1, one's going to be 1.25, or however it is, metric or freedom units or whatever. That shouldn't matter. Here's the other thing, just like we talked about last week. If you would just, I'm fired up. If you would just acknowledge the dang S2 cells, all you have to say is you can only have 1 trail marker per cell, right? Who cares if there's 30 trail markers? If they're all in their own individual cell and they're 20 meters apart, it doesn't matter. Aaron, you screwed this thing up, and I hope you're at GoFest. I hope I can look at you, grab you by the shoulders, and shake you and say, dude, what are you doing? This was going good. Trail markers were the least of our worries. We were worried about barbershops and all these other things. Trail markers were cool, and you had to go and do this.
I think, and here's the other thing, right? Like, these have to be put in by the city or the town or the region or the park service or something. So they have to pay for these. They're not going to put them every 4 feet.
Right.
Exactly. So they're putting these trail markers far enough away from each other that it makes sense, right? And you know that the park service or the city or whatever, they're like, how can we get away with making as little of these as possible while still ensuring people's safety and encouraging people to walk this trail? Because that's what these are for. These are to encourage people to walk the bloody trail.
Right.
And it's like, what do you mean? They have to be special. No. Stop it. I need a newspaper.
Here's what I love. This Wayfarer community very rarely all agrees on anything. Right? Would you agree with that? Like, there's not too many things that you can say in Wayfarer and people are like, yeah, I'm on board. But kudos to the ambassadors. Like, shout out to the ambassadors. Like, for being associated with Niantic, and I know they're not employees and, they kind of work for us, blah, blah, blah. They have been all over this. Like, every other post on this thread is from an ambassador, either current ambassador, previous ambassador, and a senior ambassador, whatever you want to call them. They are on it saying, hey, what are you doing? I like the post that Andis put on there. Like, Aaron put something on there that everybody hates. It's I've never seen someone from Niantic post something and get so many dislikes and no likes at all. So I got to shout out the ambassadors who I think are doing the Lord's work on this. So if they're saying that publicly, I can just imagine what they're saying privately to Niantic. I hopefully they're reading them the Riot Act. I would never put one of the ambassadors, ask them to break any confidence, but I hope that they are reading them the Riot Act and letting them have it. And this might be one of those things where Aaron is like, damn, my bad, sorry, I've said stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, obviously that was the wrong thing. I didn't read the room. But yeah, they came out quick and fast on this to say, this is wrong. And, some of the thread then kind of started to devolve like it always does. And people were like, well, it's these ENL or these resistance agents who want to go after this, portal that we use as an anchor. And that might be true. I can't speak to that. But I know that a lot of things in the Netherlands got removed and a lot of people got really frustrated because they were following what they thought was the guidance. And then their POIs were being removed. So, but I just wanted to say, shout out to the ambassadors. Thank you. We really appreciate it. I read through this thread 3 times while we were preparing for this show, and the ambassadors are on point. They are they're on the good guy side. So I feel good about that.
Yeah, I said when Ken was asking about it, I was like, it's not often that somebody posts something on the forum that everybody disagrees with or everything agrees with, and it was just like that's there are a couple people on there who are replying, oh thanks Aaron, this is great feedback. I'm like
yeah.
So like pull up the trail marker that I got rejected.
All right, here we go.
So this is
I've been waiting to hear about this one.
This is from 2020, right? I found a trail up by where I was living, and there's a bunch of these, and they're strewn about. So this one got rejected, and this one got approved. Like, to me, the only difference between these is, okay, so for our listeners, it's a wooden pole in a forest, and on the left side of the pole, there's a little plaque, a little green plaque with a leaf on it, and an arrow pointing up and to the right in a circle. So, and they're plaques. That's like metal plaques screwed into the post. Right. And on the right side of the post, so that one's indicating the path to nature goes to the right. Right. If you want to continue on the path, go to the right. But if you want to go back to the parking for this path area, go to the left, because on the right hand side of the pole, there's a P with the green arrow around it indicating there's a parking lot, and then an arrow pointing left. So path one way, parking the other. To me, this is the quintessential trail marker. It tells you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
A fork in the road, and now this post is telling you which way is which. Right. Rejected. I'm like, cool, whatever. The one that got approved is literally the exact same thing. The only difference between these two is that the second one has a yellow turtle, like a yellow turtle plaque and an arrow, because there's a turtle conservation area off to the left there where the parking is. The only difference between the two. One got rejected, one got accepted. So I appealed it. And they said this, I can't remember when I appealed it. It was shortly after it got rejected. The object in question does not meet the Wayfarer criteria as it's generic. It's a trail marker.
It's a trail marker.
We recommend you review the Wayspot criteria before you blah 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 blah.
How can you make a trail mark? How can you make it sexy? Like, do you want us to do artificial things to it to jazz it up all of a sudden? Like, that's not in the criteria.
Like, and then there's this one from Plattsburgh, trail marker. It's 24, so it's just like a little wooden plaque, kind of. It's like a little piece of sheet metal, really, that's been painted.
Exactly.
And it says Battle of Plattsburgh Historical Trail, and it's screwed into this post, and it's number 24 of, I think there's like 40 or 50, right? Because there's a whole Battle of Plattsburgh trail that you can go, and it takes you all through the city. But like that's, to me, that's more generic than the other one.
Right, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
There's this brick in the Riverwalk, again in Plattsburgh, and it's just like a stone in the sidewalk, and it says the Riverwalk, and it's the start of the Riverwalk path in Plattsburgh, right? But that promotes exploration. Like, you wouldn't, it's below your feet, so maybe if you didn't have that way spot, you wouldn't know it was there.
Right? For sure.
Heritage
Unless
trail.
you're like walking and looking down.
Yeah. Like this one, okay, fine. I get that one's kind of generic. Those are all over the place. That one got rejected. But like, I have
sometimes you got to YOLO stuff though, you know. Or at least
sometimes,
I do.
yeah. That one got rejected. And I was like,
It's like
oh,
in basketball, heat check. You just gotta, you know, just put one up from half court just to see how you're feeling today.
Yeah. But like, I was so frustrated. And when you said that you were going to talk about trail markers, I was like, no,
You were like,
ooh, I gotta bring this up because this one had me heated.
Yeah.
And I never actually resubmitted it. And I think I might check to see if somebody else hasn't put it in the game. I might try this one again. Because it's right by where I live. So
yeah, I would put it in. I've had things that I've gotten rejected 3 times, and I'll wait and I'll go back and I'll put it in. I don't want to, you know, badger and get banned or anything or get a you know, a nasty gram, but I'll do it. Oh, speaking of nasty grams, that's the one thing I left out. I had it in the notes and I totally glossed over it. The reason why this person was putting on the form is because they got the email, which is supposed to be an educational email, and we've gone over this before, but those emails don't feel very educational when you get them. They feel a little more punitive when you get them, but they didn't share the email. But I think you and I have seen enough of these from people that have showed us that it is the educational email. It's not, they called it a warning, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't the warning email. It was more of an educational email. Go back and reread the criteria, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I think, and I've said this before, and I've said this to Niantic's face, their communication needs to get a little better. So I think this is another example of, if it really is just an educational email, maybe have that in the header, educational email, so people don't think it's a warning. Because I think anytime someone gets something like that, they assume it's a warning. But I wanted to lead with that, but I wanted to make sure I got that in there.
No, that's a really good idea. Because if they are claiming and saying that these are educational emails, it needs to say that somewhere in the email. But this is for educational purposes only. This will not be used against you in a court of law. You know what I mean?
100%. Yes, 100%. So, you know, I debated on what was the best for the YouTube group and the audio group, whether we went through and reread all of the you know, things from the forum. And I guess that gets really boring for a lot of people. It kind of gets boring for me just kind of reading things. But I would really encourage everybody who's listening or watching this to click on the link. We'll have a link in the show notes and read through the thread. It's a very interesting thread. And as usual, on the Wayfarer forums, people get a little fired up. So sometimes, you know, people, you know, they get in a little bit of name calling, and, you know, we don't condone that or anything. But I did want to read one. Chris, and I didn't share the link to this, so I'll just read it. But I think this one is pretty apt to what we're talking about right now. So it's from ENEEOCH, Enoch. And they said, okay, so now we're literally using the word warning in their educational messaging. This is very seriously messed up. When Niantic wanted to increase their pool of reviewers beginning in 2019 or thereabouts, they said nothing about jeopardizing our game accounts. People were nominating and accepting all sorts of things, except for periods when it seemed reviewers were mass rejecting everything. Some nominations and edits have languished in queue or in voting for years, while Niantic's scant rules, myriad AMAs, and cryptic pronouncements in various forms have morphed and reversed and changed over and over again. What the heck? What the heck is even the justification for sending threatening messages about stuff that Niantic approved on appeal? That's in all caps. They're saying, yeah, we realize we overturned the community's decision in this case, but let that be a warning to you. By now, Niantic doesn't even understand that they are the ones who are choosing whether or not to communicate at all, and they are supposed to be deciding whether to reward, educate, warn, or punish. They shouldn't re-educate us. They shouldn't re-educate us about their appeals process. Should never use the word warning in a simple informational message. So, I thought, you know, they definitely had kind of a little axe to grind there, but I thought that was a pretty fair message overall. That why give this person an educational email or warning, or however they took it, if it was overturned on appeal? So I nominated it. The community said no. Niantic said yes, and now they're saying, actually, we approved it, but here's your educational email. Here's your warning.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So, but Chris, that goes right along with what I will call topic number 2. So we'll go into that now.
Topic number 2.
Okay, so topic number 2, Chris, comes from a patron in our Discord, and more about how to join our Discord at the end. And they gave me permission to use it, but I don't want to use their name because this is not about singling out this person who has had a lot of communication with both of us, probably more communication with you in DMs over the last 6 to 8 months. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So it's someone that I feel comfortable with that has had their own issues with Niantic, and a family member of theirs account that was caught up in the things that were going on over in Europe. And so they sent a message in our Discord, and they labeled it as for well Niantic. So I want to read this right now. I'm retiring from Wayfarer. I have enjoyed submitting Wayspots and improving the game board everywhere I go. But the way the system works currently, I am doing damage to the map, and that's not what I want. Niantic is currently removing Wayspots left and right. Trail markers, restaurants, fitness street furniture, little free libraries, historic buildings, and all kinds of things. I think they just let loose the Coalbot on existing Wayspots. The thing does a reasonable job of reviewing nominations, but it has its flaws. And now any Wayspot is at risk of poor reevaluation. A reject means the Wayspot is quietly removed without notifying anyone or the possibility of appeal. Now, this is happening all the time in waves. The worst thing is, once something has been removed, that level 17 S2 cell is dead. Editorial comment, I don't know that that's true. I'll need to do some fact finding there. I don't think that's true, but this is what this person said, so I don't want to diminish what they said. This is the truth to them. All right, editorial comment over. No nomination can be submitted again. Technically, you can submit something, but everything goes into automatic reject. Again, I have not fact-checked that to see if that's true. Whether it's the same thing as what was removed or not. So bottom line is that any nomination can lead to a secret dead zone on the map. I have mentioned this problem before here on the Discord. Nobody cared. I got one short reply, that's all, which is fine. I'm experiencing a problem that the rest of the world is not having. This is Niantic punishing my country. The country in question is the Netherlands, because there were a few bad apples in the past. I have no other explanation. Anyway, it's been fun. While Wayfaring was functional, I want to thank you all for a good time and the boys of the podcast for an enjoyable show. But all good things must come to an end. So I guess so long, and thanks for all the fish. So that was from a patron in our Discord, and their kind of view on the state of Wayfarer. Chris.
First, I'm loving the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference at the end. Got me a chuckle.
Mm-hmm.
The level 17 S2 cell being dead, I think, is hit and miss. Like, it depends on the reason that the Wayspot got removed. I know if someone requests, like a business or something requests the Wayspot to get removed, I'm pretty sure that will block the S2 cell. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they just blanket remove it, because I think it's abuse if it'll lock the S2 cell down. Like you said, we'd have to do some research on that.
Right.
I know some people we can ask who would probably know the answer to that question.
Yes,
so
yes.
We'll get back. But I mean, it's unfortunate. Everything that's going on in the Netherlands that's kind of sweeping up, and we've said this before, it's sweeping up some good people.
Mm-hmm.
And some good, perfectly legitimate Wayspots are getting swept up in this, but it's more than a few bad apples, right? Like, it's
right.
There's a significant amount of people who were doing this, and
like it or not. Like it's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the state of being in the Netherlands right now, and it's unfortunate, but
Right. Now, the person in question I've talked to, I think they're a good person. Never met him in real life, just like a lot of people in our Discord, never met him in real life, but had some legitimate conversations away from the main thread. And I hope when they listen to this that, take some time off. Don't leave it all together. Don't delete your account. Things are going to get
please
better.
don't delete your account.
Don't delete your account. Stay in it. You and your family members, come back, stay in touch with us, stay in the Discord. We'll keep you up to date, but I wouldn't say give up. Maybe just take a vacation. Don't retire. I guess these days, if Tom Brady can retire and unretire, then this person can retire and unretire. So anyways, that's neither here nor there, but I thought that was an appropriate letter to read on the podcast because I think it kind of goes part and parcel with this because they're in the Netherlands and the big thing that was going on in the Netherlands were the stickers and the trail markers. And that led to the whole abuse ladder for it might not be the whole reason for the abuse ladder. We know of a few other things that led to the abuse ladder, but that was a big part of the abuse ladder was what was going on in the Netherlands. So, so I thought that was interesting. And I really do feel for that. As I was reading that and preparing it to read it, I felt that person's pain when I was reading that. And like I said, we had a conversation offline and, I just hope that they get to a spot where they can come back and add to the map because they've sent Chris DMs of POIs they submitted. And Chris was like, these are legit POIs. These are good.
Yeah.
They literally pretty much sent Chris their entire history of Wayfarer. Way back when. So Chris knows this person very well and everything they've done, and they are an asset to the game. So hopefully you just take a break and you come back. So
don't delete your Wayfarer account because you might delete all of your accounts at the same time because they're all linked in this.
Don't do that.
Just walk away for a bit.
Hey Chris, you might be able to just get it right back. Okay, I'll stop.
No.
I'll stop. Oh, no, I didn't say that. I'll stop. Okay. All right.
No comment.
So, I want to bring something up.
So hold on. Before you get to that,
yes.
Can you share the screen that I'm sharing? Because Pokemon Trainer Jay shared something in our Discord that I thought, and he caught this. I don't know if he caught this or somebody, but he posted. So this is a screenshot from Monster Hunter Now, and it's a person holding a cell phone, right? And it's this chapter 3, A Smarter Way. Feast your eyes on this team. I finally got my hands on one, a smartphone of my own. I don't know what the context in this is, but what's interesting is there's a bunch of app icons on this person's phone, and one of them looks like a Wayfarer app.
Ooh.
It's got the little pin for that they like to use for their official Wayspot icon, and that is different than the Wayfarer app icon currently, because the current Niantic app Wayfarer icon is the Lightship.
It sure
icon.
is.
So I don't know if they just kind of threw that on there, if they're hinting that you might be able to get some nominations through Monster Hunter Now, or if this is the new Wayfarer app that they've been developing in the background. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting.
That is a great catch. I saw that pop up on the screen when I was reading. That's why when I was reading that, I kind of paused and I saw you respond, and I'm like, this happened the last time somebody said to something while we were recording. I'm like, what is this? That's why I paused to look, and I'm like, all right, I'll let Chris talk about that. So very interesting. That's a great catch by Pokemon Trainer Jay.
Yeah.
Great catch. Can I just say this real quick, Chris? Pokemon Trainer Jay, not only is he a Wayfarer ambassador, he also has an English podcast. And I love English, and I'm trying to get Chris to love English as much as I do. So go on wherever you get your podcast and search for Ingress Insights, and you will get to hear all about Ingress from Pokemon Trainer Jay. And that was an unsponsored commercial. We won't even charge him for that. Well, maybe. No, we'll give it to him.
Nah, well, all right.
Yeah, we'll give
him that one for free.
Yeah. All right. That was kind of a heavy topic. I want to kind of lighten it up a little bit, Chris. So You know me, I come up with these crazy things. Like the last time I hosted a show, we talked about One's Gotta Go, and I thought about doing another One's Gotta Go. But I've come to affectionately call this the serial killer test. All right. If you want to know if your friends are serial killers or psychopaths or whatever you want to call them, ask them this. So for those of you who are listening right now, for our audio listeners, for our millions and millions, sorry, that was a Rock throwback. You remember that from The Rock? Millions
I do.
and millions of The Rock's fans all screaming his name. Can I say that without getting copyrighted? I guess we'll find out. All right. So for our audio listeners, I have a question for you. And here it is. It's a very simple question. I need to know what type of person you are. Sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe. Very simple. And for those of you walking on YouTube, you can see the graphic up there. Do you in the morning put on one sock, another sock, one shoe, another shoe, or do you put on a sock and then a shoe and then a sock and then a shoe? Very simple. We're going to make this the poll question, and I just need to know which type of person are you? Sock, sock, shoe, shoe, sock, shoe, sock, shoe. Chris.
I am definitely sock, sock, shoe, shoe for sure. And I can't fathom being any other way. It just seems weird to me.
Do you know any sock, shoe people?
I don't think that I do. To be honest with you.
Yeah, there's a guy, and I won't say where he's from because I don't want to. Well, a guy I work with goes, "Oh, I've been sock shoe for years. I just thought everybody did it that way." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, it's just more efficient, more convenient." And we all of us kind of looked at him like, and then we were like looking to see where the HR lady was, like, "Hey, can you come here?" Like, yeah, like, ooh. Yeah. So yeah, sock shoe, or sock shoe. So with that, let's go ahead and go to break. We'll play some dad jokes, and the dad jokes are good this week. I may be singing a song in the dad jokes, quite possibly, and we'll be back on the other side.
Are you serious? This again? It's season 3.
Why didn't Han Solo enjoy his steak? It was chewy. What's the best way to catch a fish? Ask someone to throw it to you. My friend claimed that he is glued to his autobiography. Now, I don't believe him, but that's his story, and he's sticking to it. How do you make an egg roll? You push it. Why shouldn't you tell jokes to a duck? Because they'll quack up. Knock, knock. Who's there? Britney Spears. Britney Spears who? Knock, knock. Who's there? Britney Spears. Britney Spears who? Oops, I did it again. Why did the computer catch a cold? It left a window open. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wayspotters podcast with Chris and Jamal. Did you like the dad jokes? Did you like my singing? Was that?
It's fantastic.
All right. Yeah, I thought so. It was good. It was good. I give my wife credit for that joke. She helped me out with that joke. So if you know the one I'm talking about. But Chris, what you also need to know about is Wayspot of the Week. So we've got a good one this week, and I'm going to give this one to you. So let's play the jingle here.
Let's take a look at a beautiful example of what the Wayspotters podcast thinks you should be nominating. We proudly present the Wayspot of the Week.
Take it away, sir.
So this is from friend of the show, Trollfair, in the Wayfarer discussion Discord.
And ambassador.
Wayfarer ambassador.
Yeah.
And friend of the show. It is a pile of rocks at the top of a mountain. So it's
Kind of like a trail marker, like a point of interest at the top of the mountain.
Wow, I wonder how that got tied in.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. It's piled up in like a cone. So like a little bit of a tower, and then there's a rounded part at the top. So it's kind of like a silo, but not quite that big. It looks like there is a blue box on the side of it too, which is interesting. And it's definitely at the top of a mountain because you can see blue sky behind it, and you can see kind of the ground in the background way off in the distance. There's some snow covering the front of it. It's a gorgeous way spot. How else can I describe this before I read the title and description?
You're stalling is what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So the title is Ulvanosa. The description is Ulvanosa un popular Tiel top pa 1248 I Kevin Herod Magisk Utskit. I don't know what any of that means.
I don't either, but it sounded good.
I'm guessing Knivenherd is the location because it's capitalized. Ulvanosa might be the mountain. I don't know. It is, but it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous place.
It is gorgeous.
And this is kind of like his Trollfire's trademark is stuff
for
like
sure.
This. It's
Yeah.
Absolutely
Now
amazing.
I wonder, do you think he skied down the mountain, or you think he hiked back down the mountain?
I would love to know that.
Yeah. We'll have to reach back out and have him back on the show.
Have him back on, yeah.
So I would love to know if he skis down the mountain
Mm.
or if he hikes down the mountain. I guess it would be, well, I guess if there's no ski lift, you can carry your ski. I don't know. I'm not a skier. I've skied a couple times. I tried to snowboard and I busted my tail. It wasn't that fun. I mainly go to the mountain to inner tube and to like drink Kahlua and coffee and hang out. You know, that's kind of me. I love inner tubing though.
Yeah, same with me. I am a skier, so it's likely he just hiked up there.
Yeah. So, you know, I grew up in Portland, and Mount Hood, you can ski on Mount Hood year round in the Cascade Range. It's like one of the rare mountains. It's got the Palmer Glacier. So literally in August, middle of August, you can snow ski down Mount Hood. You can also inner tube down Mount Hood, which is a lot of fun when it's like you're in shorts and you're inner tubing and, you know, you're hanging out at government camp. All my West Coast people know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Anyhow, that has nothing to do with good things. That has everything to do with good things, and it has nothing to do with bad things. Let's talk about bad things.
I've been working on the Wayfarer all the long day. I've been working on the Wayfarer just to pass the... Uh-oh. Oh, no. Hey, Jamal, I found some coal.
All right. Coal of the week. This one is all you.
All right. This one comes to us from Aquablast64 in the Pokemon Professor Network Discord. You pull this up. This is, and I'm gonna start with the title and description. It's Fallen Basketball Hoop, and I think the description is Facile Accesso.
Yes.
It is a temporary basketball net. So one of those ones you can move around and you put at the end of your driveway, and then you play basketball on the road for a little bit, and then you put it back in your yard when you're done falling over in someone's front yard.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah, wah. This is temporary. It's on private property.
There's so many things wrong with it.
So this is the quintessential. Just because it meets acceptance criteria does not make it eligible.
Correct.
This
100%.
is wrong. Just
So wrong. So wrong. Oh, all right. Coal of the week number 2. You want to pull this up? I'll take this one. I've had a couple of these. This one comes to us from Source Not Found in the Wayfarer discussion Discord. Shout out to Testone and all his people over there in that Discord. The title and description of this one, before I describe the picture, is Oakwood Primary Entry. Oakwood Primary School. Like red flag, big X's everywhere. Before I even see what it is, the title and description let me know it's at a school, right? Do we need to go any further? Okay, let's go a little further. So the photo is of mainly some trees and it looks like it's like a gazebo type thing. It's really hard to tell because whatever they were taking a picture of, they cut it out and it's mostly trees in the background. And the supporting information is bringing the Oakwood community together. So Pokemon players out there have something. Doesn't tell me what I'm looking at. Doesn't tell me anything. And in the picture, I see a bunch of cars, and I can make out at least one license plate. But again, it's supporting photos, so that's fine. But this is something that's clearly right at the entry of a primary school, not a place you want a bunch of people hanging out playing Ingress, Monster Hunter, Pokemon, Pikmin, whatever else Niantic games have. Not the place you want. Someone, I don't think this is a kid. I think this is a parent. And it's just someone who doesn't know. They just literally don't know, because anybody who knew or knows would not nominate a school. So I think this is someone who maybe, I'm just going out on the limb, plays Pokemon with their kids, and they're like, oh, this is where we park for pickup line. We should have a Pokemon spin here. Yep. And they just don't know that K-12 is a bad location. So this is not good enough quality to be a troll job. This is just somebody who doesn't know, but it's still cold week.
Yep, 100%. This is probably the byproduct of universities and stuff being eligible. People are like, oh, that university's a school, it's eligible. I'm gonna go nominate my kid's school so that while I'm waiting in line for him to get out, I have a spinner.
Yep, exactly.
So
so it's bad. It's cold a week. I don't think they did it on purpose, but that doesn't mean that you're not, just because you didn't mean to do it, doesn't mean you're not guilty.
Damn right.
So, do you have anything else?
I do not. Good? I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, we're good. We're actually going to be like right at an hour, maybe even a little under. Yeah. What do you know? Well, hey, thank you guys for listening to this episode of Wayspotters. I want to give a personal shout out to our executive producer, KatettheKonz. You rock. We love all our patrons, all of our patrons. Please continue to send us messages. We'll read them. We'll talk about them on the air, everything. So if you enjoyed listening to and watching this episode of Wayspotters, there's a few ways that you can interact with us and show us that you love us. The first one is you can follow us on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it this week. We are at Wayspotters. We are also on Instagram at Wayspotters Podcast, and we also are on TikTok at I Make Wayspots. We like to be incredibly responsive, and we love interacting with our listeners. Secondarily, you can reach out to us on our website, www.wayspotters.com. From there, you can get links to everywhere you can download the show. You can also send us a message directly from the website, or you can email us, wayspotters@pokemonprofessor.com. And coming soon, we are going to have our own brand new QR code that will start to show up on our different socials, where you will be able to scan the QR code and it will take you to a place where you can download the show. They may end up on a business card or something in the future, and probably something that you'll see at GoFest, the little QR code. So now, some of you are watching us on YouTube, and God bless you. You're doing the Lord's work. YouTube.com/@WayspottersPodcast. Watch us. You'll get to see all the cool little graphics that Chris does. Like at the beginning when we say this show is brought to us by the good people at the Pokemon Professor Network, and the Pokemon Professor Network, like right here, kind of spins in it. It's really cool. And then like if Chris is pointing here or here, stuff pops up. So you get to see all the hard work he does that takes the hour and 45 minutes to render. All that good stuff. So thank you. And if you're an audio listener, and you've been a longtime audio listener, listen to the show and then go over and take a peek at our YouTube catalog. Take a look at some of the stuff that we've done. We've got all the shorts there, the dad jokes, and then you can watch the podcast proper on YouTube. So we do appreciate you for that. Also, if you want to reach out and call us and leave us a message on our hotline, you can do that, 704-426-3710. You can leave a voice message there, and you never know, if you're incredibly lucky, your voicemail will and can appear on an upcoming episode of the show. Or if you're on Twitter, you can just send us a voice message directly from Twitter. And so finally, if you are not a member of the Patreon, the Pokemon Professor Network Patreon, you should be, and you can join for as little as $1 US a month. All you need to do is go to www.patreon.com/Pokemon Professor. From there, you can get access to the Discord for the entire family of shows across the Pokemon Professor Network, including Wayspotters, Special Conditions, Gotta Watch 'Em All, Purified Podcast, and Lured Up. It's a fantastic place filled with fantastic people. And the last thing, like I always say, if you are listening to this or watching this and you like what you hear, we would appreciate you going and giving us a review. To me and to Chris, 5 stars are the best stars, and it really helps out the show. And if you want to be a superstar, write us a review on a podcatcher that allows you to do so. I promise you, we will address it on the show. With that, we look forward to you joining us next time on Wayfarer. And remember, a few meters between friends.